Hello and welcome back to the Vega Baja Real Estate Talk here at the Televisión Vega Baja. Today we have such an interesting topic. It is all about the UK buyer, the UK seller, the UK market. Don't go away, we are right back. The British market has always been a very attractive market for the Vega Baja. Buyers have been coming to the Vega Baja from the UK for 50 years or more. It's a very, very big market, it's a very strong market and still is. We have today two of the best real estate experts we can actually have on the panel. Long years of experience in the UK market, both coming from the UK, and I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Nigel Salmon, the Managing Director of Girasol Homes in Orihuela Costa, and he is here since 2007. Hello, Nigel.
Hi, Ulrich.
And it's Mr. Bill Conetti, Managing Director of La Perla Estates here in Torrevieja, more than 20 years here, Bill. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
The UK is a very interesting and very dominant market. It's always been. We know the 2000 years, everything starting from really 1998 up to about 2007. It's been a very prosperous market. Many people from the UK did buy. What's the present situation roughly? Nigel, what's your opinion?
We had our record year last year. We're 10 years old this year. And it was a mixture of various types of buyers too, but predominantly UK buyers at the time. Obviously, it's been an interesting 9 months, and to a certain extent, life goes on as normal, but there's a bit more fence sitting going on for people who are waiting to see just how the sort of, I guess, the cards will land for the British buyers. The interest is still there. It's obviously historically a big market for us as well. And we're still seeing people buying in the area at the moment, probably just a bit less than what we'd normally expect, but generally pretty good. Yeah, we're optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, we're talking about the Vega Baja area,
Sure.
Obviously. You are based in the Orihuela Costa area.
Sure.
Bill, for Torrevieja, we can pretty much say the same, or what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I'd say the same. Historically, we've had I've been in the market for 20 years. So before the crash, we'd sold 1,500 properties, and we're finding now that those clients, they're recommending other people, and the British market is still very good. They are those questions that people ask us, what about the health system, what's going to change? And what I say to them is that there's a huge amount of effort being put into by the Spanish government and the British government to reassure people that everything will stay the same. And so the 15 million British tourists, which is a huge amount, the 3 million EU citizens living in the UK, it's very important that both parties are working hard to ensure their rights. And most people understand that. And that's why there is that confidence in the British market.
I think obviously we know what we are talking about. This will be a subject we will talk a little bit later on. But generally speaking, as we said, you said 1,500 properties sold before this crisis started. But even so, in the crisis, what we call the crisis, there were people buying properties from the UK because not everybody kind of realized, felt this crisis as such as many others unfortunately did. But and the real estate market has two sides, hasn't it? It's a buyer and a seller. So, but in those last, let's say, 10 years, you've done.
We started in more or less as soon as I signed my life away, the market crashed. So we didn't really see the 2000 years, but people buy. People buy, people sell. It goes on all the time. So it's just cyclic. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's one of those things. At the moment, I think common sense will prevail. Yeah, but obviously at the moment we have, a historical event happening, which we didn't factor in.
because there is now, as you said, Bill, there is people recommending you because they bought, well, 10, 15, 20, even more years ago. So there's always been British people buying, and we know that will continue because there is, for some people, there's things more important than politics, economies. It's just health and life, isn't it?
Well, yes, we've got clients here now, and their main point of the main thing of coming to Spain, they're pensioners, and the main thing is health. So to come from an area like Torrevieja, which is one of the healthiest areas in Europe, and I think a big influence too is the fact of the problems with the North African market, and people then see Spain as the last safe, sunny haven. And the climate is very, very important. You know, that rainy day, snowy day in England, and they can imagine themselves, their friends, they're living in the sunshine 2.5 hours away. And that is very, very important, health and retirement.
And you mentioned it. We are in the Vega Baja is one of the healthiest, if not, many say it's the healthiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Definitely very, very sunny. Obviously, we have our winters. That's normal. We have the rain. Fortunately, we have rain as well. This, whatever happens on a political scale, on an economical scale, nobody can take that away, Nigel.
No, not at all. No, I mean, we have people. This is historically a good time of year for inquiries to come in too, and we've seen an increase in the month of March too, which is sort of similar to March last year. So that's encouraging too. But yes, I mean, the UK weather will drive people to the Vega Baja. So it's as simple as that. So we're confident that the UK weather won't let us down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly. And Bill, there is already second or sometimes even third generations here, aren't they? So there is people bought 30 years ago, but when they were retired or in their retirement age, but there is the children now, aren't they?
The other, and those people are very well settled, and they're telling their friends and relatives how enjoyable it is. And I think there's another big factor is the cost of living is going up so much in the UK, and there's recently been a certain occasion when vegetables have been rationed in the markets, and when people are going out for their weekly shop and they're looking very carefully at those prices, now to be able to buy your vegetables which have come straight out of the field a day or so ago at half the price it is in the UK is very, very advantageous. And other costs such as the council taxes in the UK, obviously much less here. So overall, what we tell people is overall the cost of living is approximately 50% of what it is in the UK. And now for a pensioner, that is very, very attractive. So their pension, even with the lower exchange rate at the moment, is going very much further. And that is, it's very important. So you add that to the health benefits and the sunshine, and they're very happy.
What else would you be asking for? And obviously, the times have gone where the pound sterling was 150, 160 probably to the euro. They are down to 115, between 115 and 120. Obviously, we will see what the pound drops, but it's not the euro. It's a different currency. There will always be some changes. And,
I think yesterday was an important day to watch what was happening with the pound against the euro. And the good news was that it didn't sink, so it was fully factored in to a certain extent. So my experts in the currency market think that the pound's seriously undervalued anyway, so we should hopefully watch that rise in the next few months too, which will have an impact on the British market as well.
Yeah. So at the end, obviously people look from the UK to Spain and say, well, with that exchange rate, I can afford a property up to about 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros. But then they will probably be able to afford one for 110, 120, or 210, 220. But at the end, Bill, I think they're still looking all the websites, looking, observing the market, and see what they can afford. But the interest and the desire and the dream, I think, is still there, isn't it?
And I think what's also very important is that those people who are considering retiring here is the equity they have in their own property. And when you're thinking of an average house price in the UK of £250,000, for example, 300,000 euros. So the people who are either going to buy a holiday home or sell and buy a permanent home here are very, very, they have that equity behind them. And so therefore, I think the currency fluctuation isn't so important. The fact that today is 1.15, and if you're selling your house for 250,000 and you're going to buy possibly an equivalent property down here for 150,000, and then that is very, very attractive, and that is a big factor.
Yeah, and so we have this situation where what I was trying to say is the UK market, or the British mentality, has always been like, we buy a property, we build it up, we sell it on, we take the equity off, what you just said, and probably even with the equity they get out of the property, and that has been mainly the case back in the 2000s, where people took the equity off and just bought a property down here. They didn't even have to sell that home back home. Well, probably now people are selling the home, probably they buy a smaller home but have enough equity, whatever the pound sterling does, to buy down here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the generation who are buying now who are, have got a decent pension, maybe they're retiring early, maybe they're sort of semi-retired as well, but they're generally fairly canny with the money as well. And we're seeing an increasing amount of people taking mortgages to hedge the bet regarding the currency as well, because obviously with cheap mortgages for 10 years fixed rate, 2.5%, 2.75%, it's as cheap as a car loan.
Yeah, this is the other point. Money has never been cheaper in Spain than at the moment. Yeah. Probably prices are down and the money is down, so the cost of money. So years ago we had prices went up, interest rates were probably up as well, or then the interest rates came down, but prices were still up. But now we have the prices down and the interest rates down, Bill. So there must be a huge interest then, so people say, gosh, what else do I need?
Yeah, and also if you take it, say, a typical example, going back to that figure, the £250,000 house, and now anybody at this moment can take out 25% mortgage, 25% of that equity on a lifetime mortgage at no cost. So if you're taking that figure, then they could buy a holiday apartment for 80 or 90,000 and not have to sell, not touch the valuation of the house. They're taking out 25%. They've still got the house. They still have 75% of the equity, and they use the 25% to buy the holiday apartment, and that's very, very attractive too.
Because this mentality of the British people, that they like to invest in property, they like to have their own home, they like to have an investment in properties, because they know it's almost a secure investment. Property prices come down, okay, but over a long term, it's the best investment they can actually make. They used to do it back home, but they like to do it down here as well.
Yeah, and they leave it to their family as well, on the whole. So, it stays within the family too. So, yeah, it's a peculiarly British thing, the property ownership. So,
do you see? Last week we had the Norwegian market, and there was a huge wave of young buyers coming. Do you see this in the British market as well?
A bit, yeah. It depends on how young you mean, Ulrich. So, but certainly there's more interest in the 40-somethings. It generally used to be a bit older than that, didn't it?
They did,
so,
yeah.
But more active things. We're seeing quite a lot of people interested in golf. Golf's a big sport in the UK. And I think with the new sort of buyers, they probably maybe don't want to be on a golf course. However, they want to be near all the bars and restaurants and facilities too. So Too early to say. Ask me in a year, I think.
Yeah.
On that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bill, mainly Torrevieja. What are there people looking for apartments in Torrevieja? Are they more looking for townhouses or detached villa further in the outskirts, or what would you think is the British person mainly interested?
I think it's a mixture. There's, for example, the pensioners. They prefer to have the house and the garden, and they don't mind going outside. To the Las Siestas and the Casada areas, which are very popular. And also the prices, because, for example, if you go outside, then you can get a townhouse for 70,000 euros, and that is a very, very, very attractive price in a very lovely area. And I think your points about a lot of the younger people, they're looking for return on investment. So for them, it would be an apartment that they could rent out. And because of the problems I mentioned before, in Africa, there's a 20% increase in the number of tourists coming over. And therefore there was a headline in the local papers the other day, a big shortage of properties to rent. All the properties and all the hotels in Torrevieja are full now for the summer, and therefore I've got clients here now, they're talking about renting, and the sort of rentals near the coast in the summer, 400 euros a week, so they're giving them a rental return of say 1,600 a month, which is say 5 or 6% per annum. Now that's attractive for the younger people.
Yeah. Where else would you get 5% at the moment? Definitely not on your bank account. So
no, definitely not. It justifies the investment. I mean, people are looking for the excuse to make an investment in a holiday home by the sea.
Yeah.
So it helps them get them over the line too. But we're certainly seeing, certainly for the sort of modern properties that we're increasingly selling, there seems to be a higher opportunity to make more money and a better return on investment for those. So, it's certainly when they're sort of begging the deposit from their parents, it's possibly a good opportunity to maybe solidify it a bit for them.
Yeah, in particular, if it's probably property prices have gone up recently in the UK again, haven't they? So to afford a property in the UK as your own, so call it your own. But if you can have it down here, much better. And the people have the chance both to have a short-term return over the short term on their investment and over the long term, because the property prices are so far down.
Well, what we're seeing because the golf courses are full at the moment. Yeah, they really are. It's very difficult to get a game. You've got what you call shoulder weeks, which supplement the high season weeks too. So, yeah, Bill's right. It's a good opportunity to make some money, because the sort of the Turkish market and the North African market are particularly difficult at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know everything that's going on around the world, but in particular in these countries. And so at the end, Spain has always been on the top of the list, I think, for the UK investor, for the UK buyer, and I think it now probably even more.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy. Obviously, if you're in Scandinavia, it's 4.5 hours or whatever it might be. But generally, it's what people know. It's where their parents have had a house, and it's where they've holidayed. So effectively, have an affinity to the area.
But as well, Bill, Spain, as you said, as the political situation is stable. Obviously, we know everything. There's always something going on a political scale, but it's a safe country. People. United said traveling is easy. Infrastructure is very good here. In particular, here in the Vega Baja, you have 2 airports you can fly into. But it's from the point of view from a UK buyer, Spain is on top of the list because of it's a safe country.
Very much so, and the people who were going to these other places, the Tunisians and the Egypts, etc., they're now coming here, and that increase in the amount of tourism, the increase in the amount of sales pan-European, because we're talking about a market of 500 million people, and every country of those, of those 500 million, looks at places like Spain as a very attractive destination. And what that means also is, in terms of the value of the properties that they're buying are going up again. And one of the reasons for that is the number of sales, and also there's shortage of land with planning permission. So if you looked at Torrevieja at the moment, there are very, very few areas where there's land to be built. And so therefore people are going down to the Orihuela Costa, and the Orihuela Costa is more expensive because of the golf courses, and therefore an investment, the people who are investing now will be seeing an increase in that value. So that's also very, very attractive.
So we have seen 2007 market crashed here, prices came down, few buyers from all over Europe, there were hardly any. But now, where do you think we are? What do you think? We are through it. Are prices catching up? Are they going skyrocketing up? Or what do you think?
I think they've gone up a lot in the last couple of years. Definitely, yeah. I mean, as soon as people start talking about is the market getting better, it generally has happened or is in the process of happening. The demand's definitely still there, but there seems to be a sort of a divergence between the sort of older properties where there's potentially value for money, and obviously the new properties which are being developed, which might be a higher specification too. So there's two markets going on, but generally there's plenty of interest and opportunity in both of them. Definitely.
Same thing for you, Bill?
Yeah, I think on the British market, as opposed to Scandinavian, the Brits like a bargain, and therefore they're looking for a bargain resale. And of course they are there to be had. And therefore they look at a price of a new property, and then they look at the price of the resale, and that's why they're going for the resale. Scandinavian market, they prefer to have a new property, and they like these nice clean lines, and therefore they'll pay the top price, followed by the Brits who will get the bargains behind them.
Yeah, it is traditionally, and we know many properties have been built, particularly for the British market, in the years back, and they were looking for the more traditional stylish, Mediterranean stylish property. But now, and we know that the new build, they have mainly been focusing on a different market.
But the younger market tends to be more interested in the modern stuff, and the older market tends to be interested in what Bill's mentioned, with the sort of bargains too. And also they may have friends and relatives, and they may have an affinity for that area that they want to buy in as well. So that's the factor as well. Yeah.
Okay, now we've been talking about all the nice things, and so we know we have to come up with this topic because it's so brand and the actual and it's a hot topic. But will it be so negative as people talk about? Obviously, we talk about the Brexit. Just recently, we know the Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister, has informed the European Parliament officially informed about Britain leaving the European Union. How do you look at it? I mean, we know that we won't solve it now, though there's no really, it's too complex to look at such a complex thing from here. But what's your opinion? Will it be so negative as many people say? Will it be so positive as some people say?
I think it's probably going to be a mixture of both. I think common sense will prevail. There's too much to lose on both sides. Not just from the property point of view, but obviously economically, we're entwined. So common sense, pragmatism, 2 years of talk, maybe more, people will still buy properties, sell them, move, everything, I guess. Yeah, that's what we think. And let's see how it plays out. But the interest has not died off at all, and we're still selling properties to British buyers. So,
okay. So
I'm optimistic.
Yeah, my message to the politicians would be on two major factors. The two major factors which can be solved very quickly is the residency rights. And Theresa May, when she started this before the Article 50, said to Europe, we will guarantee the rights of the 3 million European citizens in the UK if you guarantee the rights of the 1 million British citizens, which is a very fair. So that could be done. That could be done now. The other factor is the trade, and 20 countries in Europe of the 27 export more to the UK than the UK exports to them. So that trade deal, in terms of what it is wanted, the free trade agreement, could be done now. They'll drag it out over time, but if you had those 27 people round the table today and you said to them, let's have a free trade agreement with the UK, they would all say yes. And that is very, very important. There's also one factor which most people don't know about, and that is the Vienna Convention of 1969, and that guarantees the existing rights of all members when a treaty is changed or withdrawn. So the member rights of every British person in Spain is guaranteed.
So yeah, obviously at the moment, as we know, it is a lot of things being talked about. It's been obviously a vote that many things have been said about it. It's not been fair, it's not been informed, it's not been this, it's not been that. Well, the vote is there. Everybody has to accept it. Everybody has to deal with it on all sides. But I think what you said at the end of the day, people live. People want to carry on living. There is trade being done, and obviously politics is important, but trade is probably even more important than politics, although the politics puts the rules down. But so many people who are watching this show now, who are living down here in the Vega Baja area in Spain, away from the UK, will they? What your opinion? What's the immediate? Because they will wait now for 2 years, see what will happen. And what do you think will gonna...
Well, I think, as Bill says, I think residency will be at the top of the list because that's the sort of thing that everybody, wants some certainty. And obviously, there's a lot of employees and employment in those countries too. So I think it goes straight to the top of the list. Questions we get asked a lot are healthcare, reciprocal arrangements, things like that as well. So I guess that's going to be second on the list, I would imagine. And it's easy for us to say, but I mean, we've probably been in worse scrapes than this. So, I think, as I said earlier, I think that they will get a solution or a working solution together. We all thought that if the parties had agreed freedom of movement, we would be in a completely different place as we are at the moment. But that seems to be, as the government are saying, one of the red lines. It seems, but again, that could be posturing. We have to wait and see, but I think it'll be okay.
Do you think, Bill, within the next 2 years they will get it done, or will it take longer?
No, I think, what I said before, that with those two major factors, it would be, once they're settled, and it would be very easy to settle it. Once that's settled, then, so you think about it, free movement, no tariffs, that is actually a very easy one to settle, and that is the one that the people who are living here, that's what they want to see, and I think the reassuring message is that the politicians in Spain and politicians in the UK are working very, very hard to make sure that there's no change, because nobody wants those 15 million tourists to have any problems with their health cards. They won't have any problems because Spain will just make sure that they don't. And that then comes down to the pensioners. And as I mentioned, their rights are already enshrined in the Vienna Convention. That can't change. And so for the people who are coming in, that this is what we're telling them. And most people are reassured about that and are confident about it.
So they just read there is some 21,000 laws to be to be fixed and written down and stamped and all that. But this is probably all small things, but mainly it's about people will be happy and should be probably relaxeder than.
I think most of those laws are going to be absorbed into UK law. This is this big repeal act. It sounds very medieval, but basically most of it is going to be transferred. You know, it's just a different statute. That's all. So, you know, I'm reasonably encouraged by that.
I am too. I mean, there'll be a lot of work, but there'll be good changes, because one of the bones of contention was the Human Rights Act, which has delayed us in Great Britain to be able to deport people like terrorists, etc. Once that's out of the way, it'll be much easier to solve that problem. And there are existing treaties already in place. For example, Canada has a free trade agreement with Europe. There's a European Free Trade Association. And so it isn't that complicated, because the mechanism is already in place. And it's the same for reciprocal health. That's already in place.
So if you really look at it, it's not. The UK won't be the first and only non-European nation or side which Europe will have to dealing with. And I also think that can anybody afford, anybody around the world afford not to have a good relationship with the UK being independent, or, well, in this way independent, or between Europe and the UK in particular?
No, they can't. Yeah, and we need to get on with Europe too. I mean, just from a security point of view as much as anything. And obviously economic union needs to continue. You know, it's as simple as that. So that's where I think it'll probably be okay. You know, I'm really optimistic about it. There are some practical things, and there's a lot of talk at the moment, but I guess that's the beginning of, you know, the dance. So, you know, that's so let's see. You know, I'm okay about it.
Okay, good. And do you think that from now on people will probably be more quiet, will be more relaxed, will be more obviously observing what's going on? There will be any day we will have something on the news from now on for the next 2 years. So there will, but generally speaking, I think people should and could be really relaxed. They will sort it out. Somehow they will sort it out. But down here, and for people who want to come to Spain, to the Vega Baja area, and people who are here, they should be okay.
I think it will get quieter because people will get used to it. Yeah, and that's human nature. And just at the moment, obviously, you know, the week after, and you know, a couple of months afterwards, there's still a lot of you know, dissatisfaction with the people who wanted to remain, obviously. Because it's like, you know, it's official. But I think as it becomes clearer, and I think it depends on the rhetoric, I think people will get used to it and effectively understand what it will mean. If that means we have to stand at a different queue, then we have to stand in a different queue. You know, so.
To get the NIE number, you will have to provide a few more copies of some other.
And we're used to queuing, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So can at the end of the day, somebody within 2, 3, 5 years' time, can somebody from the UK be treated differently to some other member, well, to somebody else not from the European Union, like, for example, Russian people or Chinese people or anybody out of the EU?
That's a good question.
So I think nobody can really say, well, we are from the UK now, you got to do this and this, all this more. So I said, well, hang on, why? So I'm
sure we'll be fast-tracked into something, I guess.
I think there'll be, I agree with Nigel, I think
there'll be.
There'll be that agreement, and I'm sure there won't be any problem in that area. And I think people, I think that the prophets of doom, when the vote took place, and they expected, you know, the economy to collapse, etc., and the reverse has happened. The British economy has got stronger. Now, why that's important for citizens living here is again that, you know, your pensions paid and the exchange rate. So the stronger the British economy gets, the more confidence there is, and there's a huge benefit of coming out, which hasn't been really mentioned very much, and that's the Commonwealth. A huge amount of trade, was and is taking place, and there will be much more trade from the Commonwealth. The trade agreement's already been agreed with America, so America, Canada, Australia, etc. These are the countries which will increase trade with the UK, which means the economy gets better and then the exchange rate increases. So I think all of the benefits with trading with Europe, because there's a big deficit. So Germany, for example, has got a 30 billion deficit. So Mrs. Merkel is very keen, and she's the leader of the pack. She's very keen in Britain having a free trade agreement. So I think you put these factors together, and we're very confident.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for everybody back home on the TV screen and watching this, I think obviously, as I said, we can't solve it. We can only give our best opinion.
Sure.
But your expert opinion, particular coming from a real estate sector and looking into the real estate, the Vega Baja will always be attractive. The economy will probably a bit slower. There's recessions all over the place. Economies get stronger, interest continues, and people will be seeking out for the sun at the end of the day. So nobody can sell this sun for us.
Yeah, no, we're in a good position for that,
Exactly.
definitely. No, I think it'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Definitely.
okay, good.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming today. It was a real pleasure, and I hope you learned something back home, and I hope you found it interesting. I hope we could also calm a little bit the waves, and everything will be fine. We will be fine down here at the Vega Baja. Don't go away. We have somebody very, very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to the next guest. She is definitely one of the sweetest voices in the Vega Baja. She's a bilingual, international acclaimed, independent pop singer and songwriter based in the Vega Baja. She's a self-made artist with great sensibility who wins her hearts wherever she performs. She has a rare combination of artistry, musicianship and a vocal talent to become a top-tier name in pop. She is Shani Aniston, and she is with me today here on the plateau. Hello, good morning, Shani.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Shani, thank you so much for coming. I was so much looking forward to this interview, and here we are finally.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Shani, you are well known here on the coast, but you are internationally known as well. Why is this?
Well, international, that sounds very big, but I've been awarded several times in different competitions, especially in the US, so that's why I'm a bit known over there.
Okay.
Too.
Well, just for you to know, Shani was awarded by the Academia Music Awards in Los Angeles in November 2015 for her pop album Once Upon a Time. And she was just recently awarded, and that was just a few weeks ago, sorry. And
Yes.
What was that for, Shani?
That's for my latest single called You Gotta Let It Go. It's a pop soul song. And it's been awarded as Best Song for the Academia Music Awards. They're based in Los Angeles, in Hollywood.
Okay, and that's what we hear here down on the Costa Blanca, on the Vega Baja. Actually, we will hear it after this interview. People can watch the whole video, the whole music video. It's a beautiful song. But Shani, what do you have to let go? So what do you gonna let it go?
Well, the song talks about, actually it's got 5 stories if you watch the video clip. There's 5 different stories. It talks about that we're all different, but we're all connected the same way. We're all different people, but connected in the same way. We all have the same fears. We all have dreams. We all have our goals. But sometimes it's very difficult, and we let fear interfere somewhere to not be able to get our goals, to make our dreams come true. So you have to let go of all of that, let go of all the stress, let go of all the fears, let go of everything that's in your way.
So fear to be a balloon, which you just let go, it flies away and you release.
Exactly. The balloon, that's the symbol of letting go at the end, everybody's dreams and fears.
Okay, beautiful song, you will see. And Shani, many people ask, where are you from exactly? So how did you come to the Vega Baja?
Well, I was actually born in London, but my father is Scottish and my mum is Spanish. That's why I look Spanish. But I've been living here since we moved over when I was 5. Oh. So I live now in Torrevieja since then.
Okay. And so you arrived here with your parents, and then you settled down here. You fall in love, as far as I know, here as well.
Yes.
And now you're living. And your music is your way to express feelings. And tell us a little bit about it. How did you start with songwriting as well?
Mm-hmm. Well, I always loved singing, even when I was in the UK. When I was only 5, I remember singing songs on the Carpenters or Kylie Minogue. That was the big theme there at the 80s. But I didn't actually start songwriting or performing live till I was about in my late 19s, 20s. I was quite shy to to perform, but somebody encouraged me, said, you have a great voice, you have to show this to the world, the talent cannot be hidden in your bedroom, so go out there and do it. And that's why you got to let go also is to myself, like, okay, I've managed to do this, and I feel very proud of fighting all those fears and be able to get on the stage.
Okay, yeah, and as you say, so basically this song is a little bit a reflection of your own life, where you say,
yes.
okay, you had to let go things several times or very often to
yes,
come to
always, I think. In life, everybody, as I said, we're all so different, and in the video you can see there's different people, different colours, ages, different type, but we all have dreams, we all have the same fears. At the end of the day, if you sit down and have a coffee with somebody and you think that you have a problem, then you realise that you're not the only one. Oh, you're the same? I thought it was only me.
Yeah.
That's
Great.
sort of the theme,
Yeah. You did the video here in the Vega Baja, or where was it? What was the video done?
Yes, we did the video. We did the video actually ourselves, my husband and I. We did part of it in Torrevieja, which is, if you look at the video, is my dream in the video is to become a singer. So you see how I start in Torrevieja, and then I move over to Madrid, which is a bigger city with bigger opportunities. So that's where the second part of the video was recorded, in Madrid.
Okay. So yeah, you settled down here in the Vega Baja, and you also performed here in the Vega Baja. But where can people see you nowadays? Where does, I mean, all the songs are on your website. So if people want to sing, and it's a good variety of different songs. It's not only one style of songs, is it? So you have the whole width and different songs. Yes,
I started writing like more pop rock, Spanish and English. Then the second album I released was more dance, European dance music, pop as well. And now what I'm doing is releasing singles, just how I feel. One day I feel like singing a ballad, then I go for it and I release it, and that's what I'm doing now. I also sing covers. I always sing, so for restaurants, hotels, all the venues here in the area in the Vega Baja. So I always do that as well.
Okay, and so people can look up on your website to see where you will perform. So and they get to know.
Yes, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media, they can find me there, and I normally publish all my concerts there. Okay,
great. Yeah. What's the next coming up? Do you have anything where people say, "Oh, I'd like to see Shani"? So what's the next?
I have loads. I can't think of the dates now.
Okay.
I have the biggest thing I have, but it's not in the Vega Baja. It's in Madrid at the moment. That will be in May.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
So that's just around the corner from here. So catch a train, drive to Madrid, and see Shani live performing. you are here. You're married here, as you say, and you are here in the coast. What for the people? What do you like on the Vega Baja, and what do you think is the reason you are here, a part of the family?
Well, especially the weather. We have a fantastic weather. There's no doubt of that. I love the sea. I don't think I could live in a city where there's no sea. For me, the sea is very important. And also I like all the different cultures we have here. You can relate with people from so many different places. So I think that's very interesting.
And is this also your way to be inspired for new songs? Is it where you get it out of walking around town or being on the beach, or how do you?
Anything can inspire me. Yeah, exactly. When I feel that I want to think, I do like to walk around the beach, like you say. That helps me a lot to think and bring in new ideas, fresh ideas.
Okay.
Mediterranean sea helps
So,
a lot.
What's the next thing? Do you have something in mind? Because you have an award-winning album, you have an award-winning song. So is it carrying on producing probably award-winning songs more and more, or do you have something in mind which you'd like to achieve yourself?
Well, I'm still in more competitions that I still have to see what the results are going to be. I'm looking forward to that and keeping quite positive, hoping that I maybe get another award. If not, I'm still happy with what I do and with what I've achieved till now. And continue, as I said before, I live the day. I don't plan like in a year, or now I live the day. I used to before create like a marketing scenery with an idea of what I wanted to do, like the album Once Upon a Time. That was all very prepared in the way that I wanted to tie things up like a story. But now it's just how I feel at the moment. If I feel happy and I want to do something really positive, I just do it and launch it out. I love doing the video clips too, so I create them too, with some help, obviously. Yeah. So I love creating, so it's how I feel in every moment. So you might see a crying ballad or an up-tempo song to dance to, like which is You Gotta Let It Go. Yeah, yeah.
And to finish up with, there's so many different music shows on TV nowadays where you can become a singer overnight, a star overnight. But the reality is, I guess, it's very different. So what we see there is really a show. What we think. What would you recommend a young artist, a young singer, to stick to, or what to do in order to become probably very big or at least successful?
It's important to practice a lot. You have to practice every day. Things don't come just like that. Somebody doesn't come and knock on your door and say, hey, you've got a fantastic voice, let's do something with it. So you have to work hard. So I would tell them to work very hard. But at the same time, enjoy what they're doing. It's very important to enjoy and not become too perfectionist and obsessed in what they do. Enjoy, and they'll learn. They'll learn from every experience, and that will make them grow.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Shani.
Thank you.
What we were going to do now, I say goodbye to you already, but you should stay. Don't go away that quickly, and listen and watch to this beautiful song of Shani Aniston. You Gotta Let It Go, and I hope you like it. And for more information, log on to Shani's website. It is shanianiston.com.
Thank you very much.
Okay, enjoy the video.